Before this message begins, understand something very important. If you clicked on this video, it is not a coincidence. Something guided you here because there is a message your soul needs to hear right now. Stay until the end because what God is about to reveal may explain things that have confused you for a long time. You may have felt pain, betrayal, or deep disappointment from someone you trusted. You may have asked God many times why someone hurt you so deeply while you were trying to live with kindness and honesty. There were nights when you felt alone, wondering if the truth would ever come out, wondering if the lies people believed about you would ever be corrected. But today God is saying that the season of silence is ending. The person who caused you pain thought they could hide behind their words, their manipulation, and their false image forever, but they forgot one powerful truth. Nothing remains hidden when God decides it is time for the truth to come into the light. For a long time you stayed quiet because you did not want conflict. You chose peace even when you were treated unfairly. You allowed people to misunderstand you because you believed that eventually God would defend you. Many times you were tempted to speak out, to expose what was really happening, but something inside you told you to stay calm and trust God's timing. And now God is saying that your patience has not been wasted. The same person who tried to break your spirit is about to face the consequences of their own actions. This does not mean you need to seek revenge or celebrate someone's downfall. God is simply revealing that the truth cannot stay buried forever. The lies that were spoken about you were like seeds planted in the dark, but the light of truth is about to rise and expose everything. Some people around you already started noticing small signs. They began to feel that something about the story did not make sense. They saw inconsistencies in the words of the person who hurt you. They started questioning things quietly. And this is how exposure begins. God does not always reveal everything in one dramatic moment. Sometimes He allows small truths to appear one by one until the full picture becomes impossible to deny. The person who hurt you thought they were clever. They believed they could twist the narrative and make you look like the problem while they appeared innocent. But God was watching every conversation, every hidden intention, every moment when they chose deception instead of honesty. Nothing escaped His sight. Even the tears you cried when nobody was around were seen by God. Every silent prayer you whispered was heard. Every moment when you felt your heart breaking was recorded in heaven. And now God is saying that justice is not always immediate, but it is always certain. The person who hurt you may have felt powerful for a while. They may have believed they had control over how people viewed you. But the same people who believed their words will soon begin to see the truth with their own eyes. Situations will unfold in ways that reveal their real character. Their own actions will speak louder than anything you could have said. You will not need to defend yourself because the truth will defend you. There is a shift happening in the spiritual realm. What was hidden is being brought into the light. What was whispered in secret will be understood openly. And the most surprising part is that the exposure will not come through your effort. It will come through God's timing. Sometimes God allows people to continue their behavior long enough so that their true nature becomes undeniable. If he exposed them too early, some people might still doubt. But when the truth finally appears after a long period of deception, nobody can ignore it. This is why God asked you to stay patient. This is why you felt guided not to fight back with the same negativity that was used against you. Because your story is not about revenge. It is about revelation. The pain you experienced is about to transform into clarity. People who once doubted you will begin to understand what really happened. Some of them may even come to you with apologies because they realize they believed the wrong person. And when that moment comes, God is asking you to respond with grace instead of bitterness. The goal is not to humiliate the one who hurt you. The goal is to restore truth and peace in your life. When God exposes someone's actions, it is not only about justice for you. It is also a lesson for everyone watching. It reminds people that character eventually reveals itself and that deception cannot survive forever. Right now you may still feel the echoes of the past pain. Sometimes memories return and make you question whether things will truly change. But God wants you to understand that the season is shifting. The same situation that once made you feel powerless is about to show you how protected you actually were. If certain truths had come out earlier, you might have reacted emotionally and created more conflict. But God protected you by delaying the exposure until the perfect moment. And that moment is approaching faster than you think. The person who hurt you may already feel uneasy without knowing why. They may sense that something is changing around them. This is because truth has a powerful energy that begins to move through situations when God decides it is time. Conversations will happen. Secrets will surface. Hidden motives will become visible. And slowly the entire story will rearrange itself in the minds of the people who once believed the lies. When that happens, you may feel a mixture of emotions. Part of you may feel relieved because the truth is finally visible. Another part of you may feel emotional because you remember the pain you carried alone for so long. But remember this: the exposure is not meant to reopen your wounds. It is meant to close that chapter completely so you can move forward without the weight of misunderstanding on your shoulders. God is preparing a new season for your life, and the truth must be revealed before that new chapter begins. The person who hurt you was part of a lesson, not your destiny. Their actions revealed the strength inside you that you did not even know you had. You survived moments that felt unbearable. You continued to believe in goodness even when someone tried to convince others that you were the problem. And that strength did not go unnoticed. Heaven honors the people who choose integrity even when deception seems easier. This is why God is now stepping in to reveal what has been hidden. Not because you demanded it, but because truth is part of divine order. And when the truth finally stands in the open, you will realize something powerful. The person who tried to break you actually pushed you closer to your purpose. The pain forced you to grow stronger, wiser, and more spiritually aware. You learned to rely on God instead of human approval. You learned that not everyone who smiles at you has pure intentions. But most importantly, you learned that silence and patience can be stronger than arguments. And now the same story that once caused you suffering will become proof of God's protection in your life. As time moves forward, you may begin to notice small shifts happening around you, almost like pieces of a puzzle slowly coming together. People who once seemed distant may suddenly start observing more carefully, and conversations that once felt uncomfortable may begin revealing hidden truths without you needing to force anything. This is the quiet way God often works when He decides that the truth must finally come into the light. The person who hurt you believed they had control over the story. They thought that by speaking first, by creating confusion, and by planting doubt in the minds of others, they could permanently shape the way people saw you. For a while it may have seemed like they succeeded. You may have watched people pull away from you without asking questions. You may have felt the heaviness of being misunderstood, knowing that something false was spreading about you while you remained silent. Those moments can feel incredibly unfair because the natural human instinct is to defend yourself immediately. But deep inside you sense that reacting in anger would only feed the chaos. So you chose patience even when it hurt. You chose dignity even when people expected you to fight back. What you did not realize during those painful days is that your silence was not weakness. Your silence was protection. By refusing to react with the same negativity that was used against you, you allowed the truth to mature in its own time. And now that time is approaching. The person who hurt you is beginning to feel the pressure of their own choices. Lies require constant maintenance. They require new stories, new explanations, and new manipulations to keep them alive. But truth requires nothing except time. Eventually the contradictions start appearing. People begin to notice when someone's story changes slightly from one conversation to another. They begin to feel the discomfort of realizing that something about the situation does not align with reality. This is where the shift begins. It may start with a simple question from someone who once believed the lie. They may ask the person who hurt you to explain something that does not make sense. And when that moment happens, the mask will begin to slip. Because deception can only survive when nobody questions it. Once curiosity enters the situation, the structure of the lie starts to collapse slowly. You may not even witness these conversations directly. Much of this will happen quietly behind the scenes, in private discussions and subtle observations. But the energy will change around you. People who once seemed uncertain about you may begin approaching you differently. Their tone may soften. Their curiosity may grow. They may start noticing the calm strength you carried during the entire situation. And that calmness will speak louder than any explanation you could give. God has a unique way of allowing people to reveal themselves through their own behavior. The person who hurt you may continue acting in ways that expose their character without realizing it. Their impatience may show. Their bitterness may surface. Their need to control the narrative may become obvious. And little by little, the same people who once believed their version of the story will start seeing the deeper reality. This process can feel slow, but it is extremely powerful because it builds understanding in a way that cannot be undone. When truth is discovered naturally, it becomes undeniable. No argument is needed. No defense is required. The evidence appears through behavior, timing, and simple observation. Meanwhile, God is also working inside your heart. The pain you once carried is slowly transforming into wisdom. You are learning that not every betrayal is meant to destroy you. Some betrayals are actually moments of divine separation. They reveal who truly belongs in your life and who was only meant to be there temporarily. The person who hurt you may have been part of your journey for a reason, but their role was never meant to last forever. Their actions simply accelerated a transition that needed to happen. At the time it may have felt like a loss, but in reality it was a clearing of space. God sometimes removes people from our lives through conflict because peaceful distance would never have happened otherwise. And when that distance occurs, it allows you to step into a new phase of growth that would have been impossible if the old situation continued. The exposure that is coming is not just about revealing the person who hurt you. It is also about restoring your confidence in your own intuition. There were moments when you sensed that something was wrong long before the betrayal became visible. Your instincts tried to warn you, but you may have ignored those feelings because you wanted to believe the best in someone. Many kind-hearted people experience this. They give others the benefit of the doubt even when subtle signs suggest caution. But through this experience you have learned to listen more closely to your inner guidance. You have realized that intuition is often one of the ways God communicates with us. That quiet feeling in your spirit is not random. It is wisdom trying to protect you. And now, as the truth begins to surface, you will see that many of your earlier suspicions were actually correct. This realization may feel both validating and emotional. On one hand, you will feel relief because your perception was accurate. On the other hand, you may feel sadness because you hoped the situation was not as negative as it turned out to be. Both emotions are natural. Healing is not about pretending the pain never happened. Healing is about understanding the experience and allowing it to make you stronger without making you bitter. God is guiding you toward that balance. When the person who hurt you is finally exposed, you may notice something surprising. Instead of feeling the intense anger you once imagined, you may feel a quiet sense of closure. This is because the truth removes the burden of confusion. When you understand what really happened, your mind no longer needs to replay the situation over and over again searching for answers. Clarity brings peace. And that peace allows you to focus on the future instead of the past. The people around you will also learn something important from this experience. They will see how patience and integrity eventually reveal themselves. They will remember that you chose not to attack or manipulate anyone even when you were under pressure. And that memory will reshape how they view you. Respect that was once uncertain will return stronger than before because it is now built on truth instead of assumptions. At the same time, the person who hurt you will face the reality of their actions. Exposure does not always happen through dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it happens through quiet realization in the minds of others. People simply begin to see the truth and adjust their behavior accordingly. Trust shifts. Influence fades. And the person who relied on deception discovers that their power was never real to begin with. For you, this moment will mark the beginning of a new chapter. The weight of defending your reputation will disappear because the truth has already spoken. You will feel freer to move forward with your goals, your dreams, and your purpose without constantly looking back at the past. God did not allow you to go through this experience just to suffer. There was preparation happening beneath the surface the entire time. Your resilience was growing. Your discernment was sharpening. Your spiritual awareness was deepening. These qualities will guide you toward better relationships and wiser decisions in the future. One day you may even look back at this situation and realize that it was a turning point in your life. The betrayal that once felt devastating became the catalyst that redirected your path towards something better. That is one of the mysterious ways God works. What appears to be an ending often becomes the doorway to a new beginning. And as the truth continues to reveal itself in the days ahead, you will begin to see that the chapter of pain is closing while a chapter of clarity and strength is opening right in front of you. As the days continue to move forward, something even deeper will begin to unfold, and it will not only change the situation around you but also change the way you see your own story. For a long time you may have felt like the one who lost. You may have believed that the person who hurt you walked away without consequences while you were left carrying the emotional weight of what happened. That feeling can be incredibly heavy because when someone damages your reputation or betrays your trust, it creates wounds that are not always visible to others. You might smile on the outside while quietly questioning everything inside your heart. You may have asked yourself why God allowed such an experience to happen, especially when your intentions were honest. But what you did not see during those difficult moments was the silent work God was doing behind the scenes. Sometimes God allows people to reveal their true character over time so that the lesson becomes clear not only to you but also to everyone who witnessed the situation. If the truth had appeared immediately, the depth of the deception might never have been fully understood. But when lies continue long enough, they eventually expose themselves because they begin to conflict with reality. The person who hurt you may already feel that something is shifting. They might sense that the control they once believed they had over the narrative is slowly slipping away. This can create a kind of inner pressure within them. When someone builds a story based on manipulation, they must constantly protect that story. Every conversation becomes a performance. Every interaction requires careful control. And over time that pressure becomes exhausting. The truth, however, requires no effort. It simply exists, waiting for the moment when people are ready to see it. And that moment is getting closer. There will come a time when people begin connecting the pieces of information they have gathered. They will remember certain things that once seemed insignificant but now carry new meaning. They will recall moments when the behavior of the person who hurt you did not align with the image they tried to present. When these realizations begin to form, the entire perspective of the situation will start to change. People will see the difference between someone who was quietly enduring pain and someone who was actively creating confusion. Your calm presence during the storm will suddenly make sense to them. They will understand that your silence was not an admission of guilt but a reflection of your character. Many people cannot imagine remaining quiet when they are falsely accused or misunderstood. Yet you chose restraint. You chose to trust that the truth would eventually rise on its own. That decision required more strength than most people realize. And now that strength will become visible to others. But the most important transformation will happen inside you. As the exposure unfolds, you will begin releasing the emotional weight that has been attached to this experience. For a long time, part of your energy may have been tied to the memory of what happened. Even when you try to move forward, the mind sometimes returns to painful moments searching for answers. This is a natural response when something feels unresolved. But once the truth is revealed, the need for those mental questions will begin to fade. You will no longer feel the same urge to replay the situation in your thoughts. Instead, you will feel a growing sense of freedom. It will feel like stepping out of a shadow that has been following you for a long time. This is the moment when healing truly accelerates. Not because the past suddenly disappears, but because it no longer controls your present emotions. God does not expose deception only to punish someone. The deeper purpose is to restore balance and bring clarity to those who were affected. When the truth becomes visible, everyone involved has the opportunity to learn something valuable. Some people will learn to be more careful about believing rumors. Others will learn the importance of observing actions instead of trusting words alone. And you will learn that your faith in God's timing was not misplaced. During the darkest moments, you may have felt tempted to handle the situation differently. You might have imagined confronting the person publicly or revealing everything you knew just to clear your name. Those thoughts are completely human. When someone hurts us deeply, the instinct to defend ourselves is very strong. But somehow you felt guided to hold back. You sensed that acting from anger would only create more chaos. That inner restraint was not accidental. It was part of the protection God placed around you. By staying calm, you prevented the situation from turning into something even more destructive. And now the truth will emerge in a way that does not damage your integrity. This is why patience is often one of the most powerful forms of strength. It allows time to reveal what emotion cannot solve. When the exposure finally becomes undeniable, you may notice that your reaction is different from what you once expected. Instead of feeling the need to celebrate the downfall of the person who hurt you, you may simply feel a quiet sense of closure. The anger that once burned so strongly may have already softened through time and reflection. You may look at the situation with a clearer understanding of human weakness and realize that holding on to bitterness would only keep you tied to the past. Forgiveness does not mean excusing what happened. It means choosing not to carry the emotional burden any longer. God often leads people to this point after they have experienced both pain and healing. When you release resentment, you reclaim your energy and direct it toward your own growth. The future waiting ahead of you is far more important than the conflict that tried to stop you. New opportunities will begin appearing in your life because your focus is no longer trapped in the past. The clarity that comes from truth will allow you to rebuild your confidence and trust your instincts again. You will approach relationships more wisely, understanding that genuine character reveals itself through consistent actions rather than impressive words. This experience will sharpen your awareness without hardening your heart. That balance is extremely valuable because it allows you to remain kind while also protecting your peace. The person who hurt you will eventually have to face the reality of their choices. Exposure often brings a moment of reflection for the one who created the deception. They may realize that the damage they caused cannot simply be erased. Trust, once broken, takes a long time to rebuild. Some relationships around them may change permanently. Influence they once held may fade. These consequences are not something you need to enforce. They are the natural results of actions meeting truth. Your role is not to punish them. Your role is to move forward with the wisdom you have gained. As this chapter reaches its turning point, you will begin seeing your life from a higher perspective. What once looked like a painful setback will start to look like a necessary redirection. Sometimes God removes people from our path in dramatic ways because staying connected to them would have limited our future. The betrayal you experienced revealed things that would have remained hidden for years. It forced a separation that ultimately protects your destiny. When you understand this, the story changes completely. You are no longer the person who was simply hurt. You are the person who survived, learned, and grew stronger through the experience. And that strength will guide you into the next chapter of your life with a deeper sense of purpose and peace, and as this chapter of your life moves toward its final turning point, you will begin to understand something that once felt impossible to see. The pain that you carried for so long was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal the strength that already existed within you. When the person who hurt you first caused that damage, it may have felt like the ground beneath your life had suddenly shifted. Trust was broken, confusion surrounded you, and there were moments when you wondered if things would ever feel normal again. You may have questioned your own judgment, asking yourself how someone you trusted could behave in such a way. These thoughts can be incredibly heavy because betrayal often leaves behind a trail of unanswered questions. But as the truth begins to stand clearly in the light, those questions will slowly lose their power over you. The story that once felt chaotic will begin to make sense. You will see how each moment, even the painful ones, played a role in guiding you toward greater awareness. God often allows difficult experiences to reveal truths that comfort alone cannot teach. When everything is easy, people rarely look deeper into the intentions and character of those around them. But when conflict appears, the real nature of individuals begins to show itself. The person who hurt you revealed their true character through their choices. And while that revelation caused pain at first, it also protected you from investing more time and energy into a connection that was not built on honesty. Sometimes what feels like a devastating loss is actually a hidden form of protection. If the truth about that person had remained hidden, you might have continued trusting someone who did not deserve your trust. You might have continued building plans and expectations around someone whose intentions were never aligned with your well-being. In that sense, the exposure you are witnessing now is not only justice, it is also a form of divine guidance leading you toward a healthier future. As people around you begin to see the truth more clearly, the atmosphere surrounding your life will start to feel lighter. The tension that once existed in certain relationships will begin to dissolve. Individuals who were once uncertain about what to believe will finally feel confident about where the truth stands. Some of them may approach you with a sense of humility, acknowledging that they misunderstood the situation. They may express regret for not recognizing your character sooner. When those moments occur, remember that everyone is learning in their own way. People sometimes believe what they hear because they do not have all the information. When the full story becomes visible, many are willing to correct their perspective. Responding with grace in those moments will only strengthen the respect they feel for you. But even more important than the opinions of others is the transformation happening inside your own heart. The experience that once wounded you has also matured you. You now see relationships through a clearer lens. You understand the difference between someone who genuinely supports you and someone who simply enjoys the benefits of your presence. This awareness will help you build stronger and more meaningful connections in the future. You will become more selective about who you allow into your inner circle, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. God never wastes a painful experience. Every lesson you learn during this journey is shaping the person you are becoming. The resilience you developed will help you face future challenges with greater confidence. The patience you practiced will remind you that not every battle needs to be fought immediately. And the faith you held onto will continue guiding you whenever life presents uncertainty. When the exposure of the person who hurt you is finally undeniable, you may find yourself standing in a moment of quiet reflection. You will remember the nights when you felt misunderstood. You will remember the times when you wanted to defend yourself but chose silence instead. And in that reflection you will recognize how far you have come. The version of you that existed at the beginning of this story was still learning certain truths about people and about life. The version of you standing here now is stronger, wiser, and far more aware of your own value. No lie can permanently erase the truth of who you are. Character always reveals itself through time. And your character remained steady even when circumstances tried to shake it. That consistency is what ultimately allowed the truth to rise. The person who hurt you may now be facing the consequences of their actions, but your focus no longer needs to remain on them. Their chapter in your life has already served its purpose. What matters now is the path ahead of you. New opportunities are waiting in places you may not even expect yet. Relationships built on genuine respect and honesty will enter your life. The peace that once seemed distant will become part of your everyday experience. This is the reward that comes from staying true to your values even during difficult moments. God sees the choices people make when nobody else is watching. He sees the times when you choose integrity instead of revenge, patience instead of anger, faith instead of despair. Those choices shape the direction of your life more than any temporary conflict ever could. And now, as this message reaches its end, remember this simple truth. The person who hurt you believed their actions would remain hidden, but nothing escapes the eyes of God. The truth has its own timing, and when that timing arrives it brings clarity that cannot be ignored. What was once hidden is now being revealed, not to keep you tied to the past, but to release you from it completely. Your story is moving forward into a new chapter where the weight of misunderstanding no longer follows you. Walk into that future with confidence, knowing that the truth has already done its work and that God has been guiding you through every moment of this journey.